to Raleigh and stayed. What would it look like if we had this circle with 100, 200, 300? Because over 20 years, we got thousands of people who've been now. And those who are going back closer to 99 and 98, and even before with Women's Christian Alliance and the Guild, they're now in these positions. Politicians, lawyers, academics, social workers, you know, y'all teaching and building institutions. This has only been an hour and some change, you know, to wrap it up. But what would it look like if we deliberately said, these are the dates in June next year, or maybe January, and we all come, and let's just get an inventory. Who's in this? Oh man, wait, you been trying to work? Oh, you know, I got my MBA about 7 years ago, and I've been working for this foundation. What? Yeah, I was a scholar. Well, damn, we had a grant writer in this, but we've never done an inventory. And I think this is why, let's say, what it looks like, I don't know that I know we don't, and I think we all probably know this as well. We don't know how successful we were at creating the exact type of political creatures that we need.
Everybody already had it done.
The mentality has already been wrong. You heard some of y'all started as scholars. So what would it look like? How could we marshal freedom schools, Philadelphia freedom schools, over this 20-year momentum? We got a building now, we got PFX, maybe that's where we go. Can't nobody bother us over there. Like you said, to get at us, you got to get at the whole neighborhood. We gotta, I mean, what would it look like? Would it be a convening? Would you make a call, like when they started in ACP or SNCC, or what? Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to hear other people's thoughts, but certainly convening is important. Physical space is important. Funding also is always a thing that comes up.
No question.
And so, you know, so on the funding piece, I'll just say, as political beings, and elites and corporations are much better at this, we have to get to a point where we're politically tidy, or we have a political budget as a matter of practice. Not, I know exactly how every dollar is going to be spent by an organization, or I have to say so in how it's being spent, but you have to be giving your money, we have to be giving our money to institutions that are working on our behalf around the clock. And so if we just put some time into thinking through how do we take the folks who came through freedom schools, get them to appreciate the need for a political budget, political tithing as a matter of course, we can then, you know, maybe have a pool of money that we can decide at a later point on how to spend.
Have a networking event as well.
Dr. Carr, so as far as time, we got to wrap up, not necessarily because they're going to put us out of this space, but so we can be on time to our next space. So I would ask, like in closing, we talked about a lot of different things, but at the core of everything, I think the thing that we all will agree is that we have a huge responsibility this summer to inspire and change the lives of children, which was done for us in some capacity, which is why we're here today. So I have 4 trainers sitting in the room right now, and a couple young site coordinators, and some folks who are going to be put in a position to change people's lives for the first time. I remember the first time I was considering becoming a trainer. I approached you at the farm and I said, hey, Dr. Carr, a couple people, you know, they're saying that I should apply to be an other bigger trainer. And I really don't think I should, but you know, I really admire your opinion. What do you think? And your words is why I eventually applied to be a trainer and ended up being a trainer. And if anybody ever asks me, well, what was the most influential thing that's ever been a part of your life? I always tell them freedom schools, but I also say being a trainer, and being a trainer because it put me in the space of the best and the brightest across the country.
Yes.
And it gave me responsibility to change people's lives. Mm-hmm. And so those 2 things really is what keep me coming back to the work. And I would just ask that, like in our closing today, that you can give the young people who have the same charge that you gave me some 15 years ago or so. They have that same charge plus more this summer because, you know, at that time we was, you know, a part of a coalition where now we're building a foundation. And so the responsibility is much greater when you're a part of something compared to when you're building something. These young people this summer are building something.
Well, no reason, because my mind always goes to, I love the way you said it, Colon. It's not compared, we're not reacting to white people. So every example in my mind goes back to how we did it, which is why one of the reasons why we always grapple with the text for the summer, for the JSLs. What can we pick that's going to preview a world where we're not reacting to white people? That was always the challenge, and it remains the challenge. But the example that comes to my mind, it's about building the foundation. You're a part of something. The example that comes to my mind is an example from Egypt, from Kemet. And it breaks my heart when people talk about hotel. I mean, Ashley hotels. It breaks my heart because the vomit, the self-hatred that is enclosed in what is a legitimate critique. But don't use that word.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hotel, no. Don't get nowhere close to your ancestors to engage in legitimate critique. But anyway, that's it. That's how it says. And then I don't care anymore. I'm like that. I don't care. Because all y'all gonna be dead in 50 years, and your grandchildren will inherit you. In other words, if we could just keep our intellectual genealogy intact, there will come a time when we are able to build critical mass. Don't be arguing. Don't get stay focused. Don't get arguing with these people. They're gonna be dead. We're all gonna be dead. Just keep. Anyway, so the example, because it was passed on, because all the people didn't stay focused. The last time the Egyptian nation went through a significant disturbance before it finally dissolved. Remember, Egypt stayed intact as a government structure for over 3,000 years. I mean, the Chinese could laugh, but they're basically the only ones on the globe that could say, okay, 3,000 is pretty good, but we're still going. So anyway, but everybody else is gonna have to take a back seat. So the Egyptians, and there were problems. These are human beings. They got all kind of crazy stuff. But one thing that wasn't crazy, anytime they got in trouble, they would engage in what in the literature is called the Wahemi Mesu, which the European tradition calls it the Renaissance, the rebirth. But Wahemi Mesu literally means the repetition of the first occasion, the repetition of the birth. Meaning what? You're never building a foundation. You're returning to what worked and then continuing it. But to return to what worked, you got to remember what worked. So the last time they got in real trouble, which is around maybe the like 21st, 22nd, so-called 21st, 22nd dynasty. So we're talking now around maybe, I don't know, 1200 BC. Over several centuries, the thing is falling apart. Because the thing is long. Nile Valley is very long, thousands of miles. So up near or down near, depending on how you look at it, the Mediterranean, you got invaders coming in. They don't know the language. They messing up. And so up the Nile toward what we would call now Sudan, Nubia, the Africans are still there. So in that 25th dynasty, Pianki, and my lips to God's ears, I don't want to see no movie with Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan, because now they talking about they want to do a movie about Mansa Musa and Will Smith want to do one 25th dynasty. I'm like, no. The whole point of a place like Freedom Schools is you don't go to movies for your history. You got to read these texts. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we mess with this Wakanda foolishness. Black people want to be free, so now they made up of the man. No. Pianki, 25th dynasty, around 750 BC. Pianki is up in what is now Sudan. And they say, we're going to come down the Nile. I'm going this way because on the maps it would go this way. But it's elevated, so it's coming down into the Mediterranean. We're going to come down the Nile and restore order. So to the trainers and to the people who are charged with now bringing this new generation in, the model of Pianki is genius. These Africans come down the Nile, and every place they stop, they restore the temples, they restore the teaching of the language, and they restore the memory of, by then, roughly speaking, 2,500 years of history that preceded. Because the people in the valley now don't remember how to read and write. Many of them are broken off into little villages. And as they're coming down, they're saying, what we showing y'all is something that was given to your ancestors, but you don't remember. Then they get to the White Wall, Hurik Patah, a place they call Memphis. I'll be there, dog. We go to Egypt. So you go to the White Wall, to Memphis. That's the seat of political power in Kemet for 2,000 years. But the invaders have come in. Pianki gets there. He doesn't get all the way to Memphis. His children come after him, his son, Pianki, Shabaka. Shabaka is the son of Pianki. Now, I'm telling this in terms of these men, because it's not a patriarchy as such, because you have women who are pharaohs too, but the challenge is we're using these names as markers for the movement. I hate to do the shorthand, I know we gotta go. Shabaka is credited with this. They get to Memphis. Shabaka is the so-called pharaoh, Pharaoh out of the great house. He gets to Memphis, he says, how did the world come into existence? What did our ancestors teach us about how the world came into existence? So trainers, when you all are telling them, these are the colors of freedom. These are what the symbols mean. This is what the pathway means. When you say Sankofa, rewind, this is what this means. This is a pathway to Seshet. Why do we have Seshet? Because she is the symbol of everything that can be counted and measured. In other words, women created mathematics. The symbol for everything that can be counted and measured, the stars, architecture, is a black woman with a leopard dress. There's a reason why there's a pathway to Seshet in Philadelphia Freedom School. So when you're doing your math, you're doing something you invented. Forget about the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the Dutch, all the languages they stuffed in your mouth. This proceeds, they didn't even have a language called English when you created the ability. So when they get to Galileo in your science textbook, just start laughing. There wasn't even no Latin when y'all created the way that, So he gets to Memphis. And he says, how was the world brought into existence? What did our ancestors say? And he says, we brought with us a worm-eating papyrus. So we have the story, we know how to read the language, but these worms are about to eat up this pep. He says, bring us a piece of black granite. And he's in Hurik Patah. Bring me the black granite. Bring the writers. Unfurl this scroll. You write this in this black granite, so it will never be destroyed. Long story short, the story of creation basically is that everything that was created was already here and will always be created over and over again. But the thing that allows us to become aware of it is speech. Speech is how the unmoved mover, the thing that is hidden, that is the source of everything, reveals itself to those who are conscious of it. But speech is the thing. So basically the Egyptians, the Egyptian cosmology in a sentence is, we're all speeches. In other words, there's nothing in existence that wasn't already in existence. The stars exploded, they reformed, then this thing started spinning, and we all are here to start-us. The physics, oh yeah, that's right. No, but y'all don't tell it nice. You gotta go to the Africans for the good story. So this is a speech. You know what I'm saying? Everything is a speech. When you have a child, you about to speak. Every woman comes on the planet with all the speeches in her womb. You recombine with the sperm from the man who came from the woman anyway. It's like men were invented as a necessity, a speech of women, so that they could reproduce, not a speech. Because with speech, every child is a speech. And it just keeps going back to the first moment that none of us can apprehend. Because that was the first moment that the thing that was invisible revealed itself to be revealed, to be perceived. So he's writing this, they're writing this down, and when they finish, he says, now, you'll never forget it. You'll never forget it again. The Egyptologists call that the Memphite theology, because they can't understand that for the Africans, science and religion were not separate. So they got to get their mind around it. They call it, no, that's science. Ask the people who deal string theory about the nature of reality. But y'all can't understand that the Africans didn't separate science. I'm saying to say that when you're a trainer in Philadelphia Freedom Schools, when you're charged with bringing people into Freedom Schools, you don't start with, I'm the beginning. You say, how did this come into existence? You know what I'm saying? How did this thing come into existence? And you start where Kelly started. The first mother that said, okay, this is what you're going to do so you don't get ate up by animals. That's the first goal. You know what I'm saying? Now, and guess who is heir to that? We are. Why? Because Philadelphia Freedom Schools is not something that began with the trauma. Philadelphia Freedom Schools is part of a response to the trauma when the first African got abducted and survived by remembering what she was doing before she got abducted. That's the thing. How did this thing, slavery, that's what Kanye was trying to, slavery was a choice. Nah, bruh, you forgot that we never forgot. And that's how we survived. Slavery was a choice, and we rejected it. Why? Because your crazy ass is here to ask whether or not it was a choice. You answered your question with your life. Right. So that's what a trainer has to help us understand that we don't react. We don't react to things. We deal with the challenge before us, but we deal with it as the grandparents of everything that will ever walk this planet. That's our lesson, and that's why our pathways precede slavery, and that's why our readings and everything don't go with slavery. So that point, but was one other thing. And finally, all the trainers should understand, look into the future, because that none of us is permanent. The fact that I come back here reminds me of the Egyptian story you told, which we can talk about another time. At the end of the story, the guy who's been out of the country all the time, he finally gets to come back because they sent a message, because he was part of a political plot. The Pharaoh didn't work. Now he's scared, he can't come, they're gonna kill him. They was like, nah, send a message to this guy. We know what happened, and it's not like Godfather Part 2, where, Fredo, I know the Hiram Roth lied to you, come on back, and then you put him in a boat and kill him. No, that's white people. They tell him, we know they lied to you. Then they told you it was gonna be better, and so you went with them, it failed, and now you don't wanna come home. But the message they sent to this guy is, come back to the black man. Come to the great gate. Kiss the ground. Mingle with your friends. It's the place you came into existence. In other words, the fact that you can't come back to the place, you're gonna be dead. You ever been to it? You can't never go home. When you come back here, when a trainer comes here, understand that there's gonna be a time. We've had deaths in freedom. We've had transitions. We all know people who went long before their time and people who were elders who made transition. That's why we say libation every year. The names get more. That means that if you're a trainer here, what you're training, finally, what you're training is your replacement. In other words, what you're doing is bringing somebody in to do your job. And you never know who that's going to be. How many trainers did you train that you didn't know you was training? You said they wasn't going to be no trainer. They didn't even think about that until they saw you. You said, oh, you can do that. I can do that. And when you go in the room, they don't just see you, they see the city. They see the city in Tennessee. They doing stuff right now at freedom schools all over the country that they don't even know it's Philadelphia freedom schools. But they I'm doing like Isaiah do it. Yep, and he doing it like the rest of it. What he didn't reveal to you is, that's part of, so we're always, our foundation is constantly renewing. That's what I'm saying. You train your replacement. That's what these trainers, y'all not training your replacement. Because you can't do it forever. I know I can't. Anyway.
Thank you, Dr. Carr. We appreciate you.
No, I appreciate you. I appreciate all of y'all. You got no tape, man?
We have to wrap up because we got to go to the next event. If you didn't know, there's a social action call. It's our social action launch today at MOTEP from 3 to 5, and we invited all of our site coordinators, interns, made it mandatory for them, and we invited the JSF. We probably have a few high school students as well. And it's open to the public. But before we leave, I just want to thank all of our sponsors for the event today. Just so you guys know, Diverse Workforce is our biggest sponsor, Philadelphia Freedom Schools this summer. I'm pretty sure they're sponsoring us with 500. I'm pretty sure. Shine on Beats is another organization and sponsor.
Oh, wow.
Of course, Education Services for All. Thank you for your sponsorship.
Yes.
Citizens for Isaiah Thomas. Is my political action committee, and a nonprofit organization, Thomas Woods Foundation, as well as the Peace Center, which is ran by Dr. Imani. So we have a good number of sponsors. Again, we've already raised over $2,000, and hopefully we'll be able to go to MOTEP and raise a few more dollars. I also want to thank all of our board members. Sister Sarah, who's not here, she actually raised the most money out of everybody. Myself, Dr. Lama, who also is not here, and of course, Dr. Kelly, who is our treasurer / I don't know. So many titles. Yeah, it's just a great space to be in. Last but not least, we have 4 Freedom School sites this summer. And the 4 sites are Sankofa, the Peace Center, Mastery Shoemaker, and Limfest. Next summer, we will have more. The only reason we have 4 this summer is because some of the folks who wanted to get on board to have sites, logistically, it just wouldn't work. We had limits as to the amount of people that we could bring to training because of the space and the capacity at the university that we're using. But in the future, we will be looking to expand and grow the number of sites that we have this year from 4, hopefully to about 6 or 7 next year. And again, the goal is to get to where we feel like we need to be, whereas though we're providing all young people in the city with the opportunity to be a part of the
question. You got a number in mind in terms of the dollar amount?
No, for this summer or in general? This summer. For this summer, we're just really trying to just raise as much money as possible. The money that we raise this summer won't be spent this summer. So
excellent.
So the money that
the
sites, like the sites for the most part, they have their budgets and their money. So everything that we're doing now is really like trying to build for sustainability, not necessarily pay for like right now today. So that's the goal. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think there's a lot of ideas and stuff that came out. Before we leave, if everybody could just give one of the trainers your contact information, because we want to make sure that we stay in touch with you. A lot of the things Dr. Carr said, I'm looking at Darian notes, she did a great job. I was also taking notes on my phone as well. So we're definitely going to listen to the charges that were given to us today as far as number 1, making sure we reconvene the space in a different capacity. I'm already, Dr. Carr's amazing following on Twitter, so I'm already maybe thinking like a Twitter type of dialogue.
Y'all want better stuff than that. Facebook is better, right?
Okay, well
I don't know, but I don't know either. I'm not on Facebook. I don't want to be surveilled and stuff, but I know it.
Either way, this
is that, what's the best platform? I don't know.
I said Twitter because like Twitter is where people do like that type of like dialogue.
Snapchat or something now. I don't know.
But again,
I don't know. Not Snapchat. What's up with Instagram?
Well, Facebook Live.
Yeah, but I never even seen Dr. Carr on Facebook. That's why I said.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
well, that I know of. I mean, the computer's never off. Hey Siri. Hey Siri.
But so
that's crazy, right?
Please make sure we get your email address so we can follow up with you, so we can make sure that we give you information moving forward. So thank you, appreciate it.
No, thank you.
And all we have to do is clean up the trash and take the food with us, because we're not gonna throw the food in the trash. But everything else is just go to the trash, the tables and chairs can stay.
You didn't say nothing. Chris, nobody to guide me through this world. Science fiction. Nobody can talk to you.
I know. You hate
I know you know.